Number 10. Unnamed train surfer. In September of 2004, an unnamed British teenager lost both his legs during a train surfing stunt. As a freight train traveled slowly through a tunnel, the teenager and 6 of his friends jumped on its side. He was holding onto a ladder but lost his balance and was pulled under when the train suddenly picked up speed. The wheels ravaged his limbs. The authorities were called after his friends told a nearby homeowner what had happened. He was taken to Wythenshawe Hospital in Manchester for emergency surgery. The teen remained unconscious and in a critical condition. One of his legs had to be amputated below the groin and the other below the knee. Number 9. Grump. A 45-year-old homeless man died in New York while riding the roof of a subway car. A friend of his, who stayed in the same homeless shelter, only identified him by his nickname, Grump. At the time of the train surfing incident, he allegedly was under the influence of synthetic marijuana. According to his friend, he may have been hallucinating as he spread his arms while atop the car. Grump then saw an overhead bar coming and tried to get down. Unfortunately, he didn't move fast enough, and his head struck the metal beam. The man took a hard fall and was subsequently pronounced dead at the scene. His friend was deeply affected by the incident and claimed he'd never seen so much blood. Train surfing, also known as train hopping, is the act of riding the outside of a rail transport, which may include a train, tram, or subway. It may involve hanging onto the side, roof, or back of the railway cart. The practice of riding outside of trains is as old as the first railway lines. In the early days, riding on train rooftops or floorboards was common and not illegal. However, starting from the mid-19th century, as the trains got larger and faster, seating was exclusively moved to the inside. Still, migrant workers, refugees, soldiers, and others who didn't have the means to purchase a ticket continue to train hop all over the world. The practice eventually grew from a means of survival to include a thrill-seeking subculture, particularly in the context of social media attention. Train surfing, regardless of its purpose, is a dangerous activity with hundreds of deaths reported worldwide. Number 8. James Wilkinson. Leading up to his fatal 2012 accident, Melbourne teenager James Wilkinson had been warned by police after he was caught surfing the back of a metro cart. On a Facebook page dedicated to train surfing, the 17-year-old compared himself with an American wave-riding legend. The self-proclaimed Kelly Slater of train surfing was out with friends one night and couldn't get a taxi home. That's when they decided to ride the train. They got on it at Caulfield railway station, but while on the train's roof, Wilkinson accidentally came into contact with live wires. The teenager suffered a massive electric shock. Ambulance officers arriving at the scene had to wait for the electricity to be turned off before they could offer assistance. Wilkinson was later pronounced dead at the scene. Number 7. Train surfing accident in Paris. An unnamed 16-year-old died while riding on the roof of a train as it crossed an iconic bridge in Paris. The train was pulling out of the station on Bir Hakeim Bridge near the Eiffel Tower. Witnesses claimed that the teen smiled to everyone on the platform, then sat with his back turned to a low bridge that was approaching. People started screaming as the teen struck the bridge and was thrown from the train onto the hard surface below. One witness described hearing a horrible thud as his body hit the metal tracks. One onlooker was taken to hospital and needed psychological counseling after seeing the teen's body, which was described as instantly disfigured and horribly mutilated. Train surfing as an extreme hobby is believed to have originated in South Africa in the late 1980s before expanding to other countries. In Germany, it gained notoriety during the early 2000s. That's when the leader of a Frankfurt-based crew rode the country's fastest train, the Inner City Express. It was also around this time that train riders in Russia expanded their activities to the Moscow Metro. In countries where the activity is popular, communities will organize trips that may include dozens of riders. In other countries, however, train surfing continues to be a necessity. It's common in Greater Jakarta, Indonesia, which is one of the most gridlocked metropolitan areas in the world. India, Bangladesh, and South Africa are also known for extensive train surfing due to a high population density and the severe overcrowding of trains. Number 6. Thomas Clark. While celebrating Guy Fawkes Night in 2002, Thomas Clark got out the window of a moving train and climbed onto the roof. A report claims that the East Sussex teenager was under the influence of alcohol and cannabis at the time. According to a friend who was with him, the 18-year-old then started moving to the back of the train with his arms outstretched. As the train passed the footbridge at about 70 miles per hour, Clark's friends heard a thud. It's believed that part of the bridge had struck the teenager, killing him instantly. His body was recovered later that night. Grief-stricken, Clark's sister told a media outlet that he'd always climbed down in the past, thus implying that he'd gone train surfing before. Number 5. Alina. A Russian woman named only as Alina suffered a devastating electric shock while surfing a train near St. Petersburg. Sources close to Alina claim that she was a fan of extreme adventures, which also included base jumping and roof-topping. The latter refers to the unsecured and often illegal ascent of tall structures for the purpose of capturing daring photos or videos. Unfortunately, it was this pursuit of adrenaline-inducing experiences that led to her death in June of 2019. The 21-year-old reportedly slipped from the train and instinctively grabbed one of the power lines. She sustained a shock of 10,000 volts that sent her flying off the roof. She died before an ambulance could reach her. While on top of a train getting electrocuted by overhead wires, which may carry up to 25,000 volts or more, is a constant danger. Such a shock wreaks havoc on the human body, causing severe burns and other deadly injuries. Surfing a subway carries the same danger of electrocution, as well as the risk of being crushed to death due to the tight spaces in the tunnel networks. Falling from a train can result in devastating injuries. These can stem from the high-speed fall alone, but also as a consequence of being mowed down by the train. Injuries in that regard range from amputation to decapitation. Colliding with objects in the environment such as tunnel entrances, bridges, signs, or pillars is also a great danger. Since some train surfers go riding at night in conditions of low visibility, getting hit by an object can have fatal consequences. Number 4. Decapitated train surfer. In December of 2016, an unnamed man suffered a gruesome death while surfing a Brooklyn-bound subway in New York City. His remains were recovered after a 911 call was placed, alerting officers that a person was under a subway car in one of the tunnels. Electricity to the line was cut off and passengers had to wait before they were evacuated from the subway train's 10 cars. Officers found that the man had been decapitated. It's believed that he'd struck a pillar before falling underneath the train. Number 3. Valerian. A German teen, only identified as Valerian, died while train surfing in Berlin in March of 2014. The 19-year-old and several of his friends had managed to climb onto the S-Bahn. Its network mainly runs overground and occasionally passes through longer tunnels or under bridges. Valerian had been surfing for less than a mile when the train went under a low bridge in the city's Schöneberg area. There were less than 12 inches between the train and the bridge, according to a local newspaper. It's believed that Valerian either panicked or was unable to duck in time. He struck the bridge and sustained deadly injuries. The others had managed to avoid the obstacle and waited until the next stop to climb down and call the police. Surviving train surfing is fundamentally a matter of perspective and personal responsibility. Those who choose to do so in spite of the risks and illegality should constantly be aware of their surroundings to avoid getting electrocuted, falling, or being struck by objects. Authorities and railway companies around the world have taken measures against train surfing. These range from public awareness campaigns such as that of Transport for London to railway patrols and police raids. A railway company in Indonesia hosed those caught with red paint, placed barbed wire on train rooftops and even suspended concrete spheres above the railway close to the stations. The latter deterrent received criticism for being potentially deadly. Most countries have a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to the practice. Those caught train surfing risk fines and even imprisonment. Number 2. Dmitry Mikhailenko. In August of 2019, passengers on a train from St. Petersburg to Moscow complained that they felt the smell of burning meat. The electric train, capable of going 155 miles per hour, was stopped. Passengers were horrified when they saw the body of a train surfer still burning atop the third carriage. He was later identified as 19-year-old Dmitry Mikhailenko. He'd caught fire after touching an overhead line and sustained a massive electric shock. Mikhailenko was already dead by the time rescuers, who had to use a fire extinguisher to quell the blaze, reached him. Before we move on, official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at theywillkillyou.com. It's out of this world. Number 1. Loiso. In a horrific accident, 19-year-old Loiso from Johannesburg was beheaded by a moving train. Along with some of his friends, the team was on his way to Orlando High School. Some of the boys in the group were hanging onto the carriages while Loiso was jumping in and out of the train. While he was doing so, he slipped and fell on the tracks, between the train and the platform. As the massive wheels rolled over his body, Loiso's head was separated from his body and he died instantly. His friends who returned to the site of the accident were deeply affected by seeing his badly mangled remains. The school's principal assured people that they were going to get counseling. Thanks for watching. Would you rather surf a high-speed train or base jump off the tallest building in your country or state? Let us know in the comments section below.